Virginia is home to two fantastic amusement parks boasting some of the best coasters in the entire country. Having dreamed of one day traveling to ride these bucket list thrill machines, I'm finally taking a trip down to Busch Gardens Williamsburg and King's Dominion for the first time in my life. Giga coasters, hyper coasters, hybrid coasters, you name it. Join me on my journey to experience these world-class roller coasters for the first time ever. How's it going, guys? So I'm here at the airport. I'm just waiting for my flight to Virginia. Super excited to get to Busch Gardens Williamsburg today. I figured while we are waiting here for the flight to take off and board, I might as well talk about some of the things that we are looking forward to on our trip. First thing is, how does Apollo's Chariot compare to the rest of the B&M Hypers throughout the Six Flags and Cedar Fair chain? It has that really cool pre-drop where in the back seat it gives you a great amount of airtime over that first drop, similar to Raging Bull. So I think that'll be good. Although I have heard over the years it has gone down on people's lists, so I'm excited to find out whether or not that turns out to be true or whether I am surprised by it. But all in all, super excited to get on another B&M Hyper. Soon I should have completed all of the ones in North America, but we're not quite there yet. The second question I want to answer is Griffon the best dive coaster in North America? Now, right now, I've been on Valravn, Yukon Striker, SheiKra, and now this is going to be the final original B&M dive coaster in North America that I'm going to be riding. But Griffon is held in really high regard, and I'm excited to see if those old style restraints provide a much better ride. I was not impressed with SheiKra. I still think Valravn and Yukon Striker are better than that ride, but I hope Griffon exceeds my expectations, especially with the old style restraints. I hear you get lots of airtime during the drops. Wasn't the case on SheiKra, but open mind for Griffon. Now the third question I want to answer is, how will Pantheon rank within my sort of top 10 or top 20 roller coasters? Again, the reviews have been really good. It looks like a really good roller coaster objectively, and I'm just super excited to ride it and see what my opinions are of it. Probably the highest anticipated roller coaster for Busch Gardens Williamsburg. Not in the whole trip, we'll save that for the King's Dominion video, but yeah, definitely excited to get a ride on Pantheon. But things weren't going entirely smoothly. This travel day was one of my only 2 days at Busch Gardens Williamsburg, and with daylight fading upon delay after delay, the first leg of this trip was beginning to turn into a race against time. And what is up, guys? I am here at Busch Gardens Williamsburg. I gotta make this fast because the park closes in an hour and a half, and I've heard that it's extremely dead today, so I knew I was only gonna have a couple hours here. I have the full day tomorrow, luckily, but I want to take advantage of the apparently 0 lines while they have it. Even if there's only half an hour, let's see how many things I can get on. And without further setbacks, I was finally in the park. With no real game plan to go off of, I headed to the closest coaster I could see, Apollo's Chariot. Luckily for me, the park was largely empty, allowing me to get 2 back-to-back rides on the world's first B&M hypercoaster. The question is, did it live up to the hype? But there was no time to stop and discuss. With Tempesto down for the day, it was time to head on to the next roller coaster. Just got 2 rides in a row on Apollo's Chariot. Really good ride. I'll go in more depth after, because now we are heading to the most anticipated ride of this park, Pantheon. Pantheon was the next credit to check off, the most anticipated coaster in the park. Given how short the lines were and how amazing this coaster was, I once again could not resist riding it twice. Okay, I was not going to do post-ride reactions because I don't have that much time in the park today, like I said, but oh my goodness, Pantheon is so good. I can't even believe it. But yeah, what a ride. First time reaction, that thing was amazing. With 2 world-class coasters down, I began making my way around the park to whichever coaster was closest. Bolton was a great surprise. It may just be a family coaster, but it packs a punch, and it's beautifully set next to the Rhine River with fantastic theming. Shortly after, I zipped over to another well-themed roller coaster, the Big Bad Wolf's Revenge, the first family invert model that I've been on. And with closing time rapidly approaching, I was able to hop on and off Dark Coaster next, leaving me with roughly 10 minutes until close. Now, if today's visit at the park didn't seem rushed already, then hold on to your lap bars, because the next sequence of events had me gasping for my breath by the time the park closed. With 0 knowledge of the park layout, but determined to squeeze 1 more coaster in, I had continued running along the path I was on, aiming to settle with whatever coaster I arrived at first. In no time, I reached the shopping area within the Germany section, Alpengeist's entrance just sitting behind the S-Bend. But in my rushed state and with no guests in the nearby area due to the park closing, I had just assumed it was an employee area and just continued my sprint down the path, this time towards Loch Ness Monster. However, I was halted once again, this time, however, by misreading a sign and wrongly assuming that this pathway was closed. Having to turn around again, now desperate to find any information on where the next roller coaster was, I sprinted all the way back to the Fest House area, hoping to find some information or maybe a pathway to another ride that I previously missed. After realizing the route to Loch Ness Monster, however, with 4 minutes left, I gambled, sprinting as fast as I could over my retraced steps yet again, then tackling the brutal downhill and uphill climb along the Rhine, and at last reaching Loch Ness Monster's entrance at exactly 6:59 p.m., 1 minute before the park closed. That was the closing announcement that just finished. It is finally 7 o'clock here in Williamsburg, Virginia. Believe it or not, in the 90 minutes that I was here, I managed to get 8 rides total. Apollo's Chariot twice, Pantheon twice, Dark Coaster, Verbolten, Loch Ness Monster, and Big Bad Wolf. In 90 minutes, that is, I thought I was gonna get 2 rides in, maybe. So that is a very good and big surprise, so very happy about that. That means tomorrow I can do a little bit of more filming. I just got to ride, I think, Tempesto if it's open. It wasn't open today. Then Alpengeist and Griffin. So
what else could we be forgetting?
Invader.
So I'll talk to you guys soon. How does Apollo's Chariot compare to the rest of the B&M Hypers throughout the Six Flags and Cedar Fair chain? So, is Apollo's Chariot as good as the other B&M Hypers across the country? Well, I do think it is a fantastic roller coaster, but after 1 day of riding it, it didn't reach the same level as the other hyper coasters that I've ridden. While the floater airtime during the first half is pretty decent, I did think it would be a little more forceful, especially sitting in that back row after the pre-drop. The helix at the turnaround point also left me wanting a little bit more, especially having recently ridden Goliath at Six Flags Over Georgia, but I really did enjoy the second half of the ride. The airtime was a lot more consistent, and the setting of this roller coaster is beautiful. It's tucked back into the woods, dropping down into ravines, and zipping past trees. A B&M hypercoaster is never a bad coaster, and I did enjoy Apollo's Chariot, but to answer my burning question, I do think it ranks pretty low on the list of B&M hypers in my opinion. Now, as for Pantheon, despite having extremely high expectations for this already, this roller coaster blew me away. The beginning is well done, nothing to shout about, but a fun launch and great hang time on that 0G roll, and it's a great build up to when the ride kicks into top gear, entering its next launch section and switch track. These launches are much more forceful, and the bunny hill sandwiched in between gives fantastic ejector airtime, especially when traversing it backwards. The drop on the spike is great as well, but it just does not compare to the whip and airtime that's provided on the drop-off of that top hat. Pantheon then keeps its intensity with a great outer banked turn and a long sustained 0G stall to follow, with its trains hauling into the brake run. For what Pantheon is, I have zero complaints. Each element hits great, the pacing is perfect, and with the short lines on this roller coaster, it didn't really feel like a short experience at all. To answer my burning question, definitely the best roller coaster at Busch Gardens Williamsburg, in my opinion. However, opinions can change, and luckily for me, I have an entire day left to experience this park tomorrow. Will Apollo's Chariot rank up? Will the Pantheon recency bias disappear? Tune in to the second episode to find out. Nonetheless, that does conclude the first day of my trip here to Virginia. After only one rapid visit to Busch Gardens Williamsburg, here's my piece of advice. This was a difficult park to navigate, and there's a lot of elevation too, so it is a little tiring. Maybe just because I was sprinting everywhere, trying to get on as many rides as I could. Might be a me issue, but 2 more things, I guess, is just lots of elevation, and research the park before you come here. Know the different routes to get to different coasters, because it definitely will be helpful, and you'll save a lot of time and energy. With that, see you guys tomorrow.